President Obama doesn't have that much longer to be President Obama, but that doesn't mean that Rush Limbaugh and other crazy people online don't think that he's still going to sneak in becoming a dictator. Take a listen.
Given the fact that the last two terrorist attacks on our soil, Orlando and San Bernardino, were homegrown, carried out, it appears, not by external plotters, not by vast networks or sophisticated cells, but by deranged individuals warped by the hateful propaganda that they had seen over the internet, then we're going to have to do more to prevent these kinds of events from occurring.
You hear that? It's the internet's fault. Yeah, all this hatred in the internet. Yeah, there's all that propaganda on the internet. We're going to have to do more to prevent these. Can you say the words net neutrality? If you can, then you might be aware of how Obama intends to take control of the internet, using this as justification, which sadly many low-information Americans and propagandized Americans themselves will applaud. But it will not be, Obama's takeover of the internet will not be to prevent these kinds of things from happening. He's got an entirely different agenda. All the Democrats do. It's total control. It's limiting access to information. It's about shutting down opposition. That's why they want control of the internet.
Now, as always, I have to wonder, does he actually believe it, or is he just telling his remaining audience what they want to hear? And in this particular case, I don't really care which it is. It's nonsense that he's peddling. There are certainly good things to attack President Obama on. I've done it myself. But this is nonsense. The idea that he's going to take over the internet, that's the way that he's going to try to, like, well, I guess he's not saying that you would actually try to fight terrorism that way, but the idea that you would use the threat of terrorism to gain power, which, by the way, I don't remember him talking about this under President Bush, but that you would try to take over the internet. And this is very important, this gives you a little portal into the addled mind of Rush Limbaugh. He thinks that net neutrality is a guise under which you take control of the internet. I'm like trying to come up with a way that you could possibly do that. All it does is stop companies from controlling the internet. It doesn't provide any extra ability for the government to shut down websites or to affect who can go to. It doesn't do any of that. By the way, if they wanted to do that, they could probably do it. They don't need net neutrality. But net neutrality is literally the sort of thing that would protect assholes like him who put internet videos up and say incredibly hateful and racist things. It will protect people like that from Comcast deciding, I don't really want to send people to those websites necessarily anymore. Maybe I'll shut them down or make them a little bit slower. It fucking protects you, you moron. But he thinks that it's Barack Obama's last-ditch attempt to take over the country. If he was gonna take over the country, don't you think that he would have gotten around to it by now? He's been president for something like 7.5 years. We've been through wars. We've been through terrorist attacks. Not one gun has been taken away yet. Not one soldier has marched on an American city and taken it over. If he was gonna do it, he would have gotten around to doing it by now. Barack Obama is like the most relaxed, blasé president in his waning months as president. They're never going to move on from this. It's always going to be another conspiracy theory. And it almost has to, because that's what their fans want. That's what their viewers want. They just want to be fed the same bullshit fantasies that they've had in their head since before Barack Obama became the president. And it doesn't matter if he hasn't done any of these things that they predicted. None of his fans are going to look back on his broadcasts from the first few months of President Obama, where he was predicting all of this insanity would happen. They're not going to grade him based on that and judge him based on that. They're not going to change their viewing habits based on that. They have no standards, and so Rush Limbaugh can't actually fail to pass those standards. Now, look, we can have a conversation about exactly what the government should do vis-a-vis terrorist recruitment and propaganda and all of that, but the idea that this is how President Obama is going to take over the country, that's ludicrous, and only Rush Limbaugh and his fans actually believe it.